Welcome to Ancient Geeks, a podcast in which two old friends who share a lifelong love of science fiction, fantasy, comics, games, and all other things geeky journey back in time to when we discovered it all, when it was fresh and new, when it was on the fringes of popular culture, on the page, on the screen, on the tabletop, on our ancient computers. We were geek before it was chic. I'm your co-host, Tom Grant, and Stephen, you're doing a swell job.
Oh, why, thank you, Tom. I'm your co-host, Stephen Taylor, and I fear our supply of toilet paper has been destroyed.
That would strike fear into my
Sure.
heart. Definitely, definitely. All right. Well, today we are continuing our series looking at the early or first works of directors who later on went to create things such as Star Wars, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Escape from New York, other geeky bits of movie making that were defining in our youth. But they had to start somewhere. And we've covered George Lucas and THX 1138. We've done Steven Spielberg and Duel. And today we're going to do John Carpenter and Dark Star. But before we get into that movie, what have you been doing lately that you would classify as geekish?
So I mentioned a couple episodes ago that I'd gone to the flea market and found some miscellaneous paperbacks, and I'm in the middle of reading Trek to Mad World, an early Star Trek novel.
Mad World.
Oh, it's so very mad. I thought maybe I'd read it before. I'm pretty sure that I hadn't. And I'm sure by the time this comes out, I'll have posted a review and people will find out. I don't know, maybe right now, halfway through, it will not be an SLT recommends. I'll put it that way. But,
Okay.
it may redeem itself in the second half. So if you've read my review by now, you already know. Again, it's all timey-wimey.
Yeah.
What can I say? How about yourself?
Well, I just on the Star Trek novels, I saw a copy of Spock Must Die in a used bookstore, but it was in such bad shape I didn't get it.
Yeah, I think I read that one.
Yeah. How could you not read something that says Spock must die? Spoiler alert, he doesn't.
Indeed not.
Yeah. So on the plane, I watched Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, which should have been a movie I enjoyed. But once again, having some hope and optimism about a movie is a surefire way of making certain that it's not going to be good. So I did not enjoy that movie.
That's why you're Mr. Negative, and it all
That's
plays
why
out.
I'm Mr. Negative. I just have to just continue to bury my positivity the way that Spock in the Kolinahr ritual was burying his emotions. I want to give a shout out to, there's a Substack, the Kaiju Papers,
Okay.
who are friends of us. And I sent away for their zine or zines, plural. And they have these little tiny zines that are sort of like mini viewing guides to a lot of the Showa era Godzilla movies. And they're
Nice.
great. And since I got this Blu-ray set of Godzilla movies, I'm definitely going to keep this at hand when I rewatch them. So, for example, for Mothra versus Godzilla, which you and I have both seen when we did
Yes.
the Godzilla episode, a series of lessons from the movie, including don't be so greedy, all things end, and time is a spiral, and eggs.
Eggs. Yes, eggs. Although I thought time was a flat circle, but it's all very confusing.
Yes. Eggs. Why did it have to be eggs? All right. So that's what I've been doing lately that's pretty geeky. And actually, Good Luck, Have Fun, Won't Die will come up later
Don't
in
die.
our
Okay.
discussion of Dark Star.
Fair enough. I haven't seen it, so you can do what you will, I guess.
Okay. Have at it.
Yes.
So since we have no budget for a soundtrack for this podcast, but we do wish we were able to play particular copyrighted materials,
hmm
what would be your choice of a soundtrack for
So I would
this
go with
episode?
either Eve of Destruction
Okay.
or Surfing USA.
Yes, both of those would be extremely apt. Kind of the path of least resistance is just to take selections from Carpenter's own soundtrack for this movie, since he did the synth music
Yes.
behind this. But I'll just another path of least resistance choice, and it will be Space Oddity, which is blazingly obvious.
There we go. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Dark Star was released in theaters in 1974, but before that, it was the student film project of John Carpenter and also Dan O'Bannon, who both collaborated on this particular movie. It's a science fiction movie. It's a science fiction comedy about a burned out crew of a spaceship that's supposed to destroy unstable planets. Things come to a bad end as the ship continues to fall apart.
They all die.
Yes, and the the crew continues to fall apart. Do you think that's a good summary of this particular movie?
Yeah, sure.
But it is a comedy.
It's a very dark comedy. We'll talk about exactly how comedic it is, I think, as we go
Right.
through this. I think it tries to be I don't know, satire exactly. It does try to be a comedy. It's very student filmy. I'll say
Yeah.
that for it.
Right. We'll get to that. But
Yeah.
first, a little bit about John Carpenter. So I think John Carpenter is one of those people who doesn't necessarily get the recognition that he deserves. If you look at the list of movies that he's made, Escape from New York, The Thing, They Live, Big Trouble in Little China, Halloween,
Hmm.
Assault on Precinct 13, The Fog, In the Mouth of Madness, Prince of Darkness. These really run a decent sized gamut of geekery. So you have, the Lovecraftian In the Mouth of Madness, you have the dystopian Escape from New York, and also They Live. These are good movies, fun movies. When we start talking about who are the big stars
Right.
of geek cinema, definitely needs to be included in that firmament. How many of those movies have you seen, by the way?
Very few. I realized
Yeah.
before we started doing this. I mean, I've seen Escape from New York for sure. I
Hmm.
think. I think. But I haven't seen Halloween because I've never been a horror guy. I've never seen any of the Halloween movies.
Yeah.
And I think some of the movies sort of fit in that category. So it's not really someone whose body work I'm very familiar with.
Well, I know you've seen Escape from New York from all the times that you've said, "Call me Snake," and I refuse to
Of
do so.
course. That's right.
Oh, and in getting ready for this, I was looking at interviews with John Carpenter, and apparently he was going to
Oh,
make
Big
a
Trouble in Little China. I'm sorry. I knew there was another one. Big Trouble in Little China. Obviously, I've seen that one. He's the
okay,
writer. He's a writer.
yeah, which I dearly love. That's a
Oh, it's a
terrific
great.
movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he wanted to do an adaptation of The Star Is My Destination, which I,
Mm,
I recently reread. I did a book review of it on the Substack. I would have loved to have seen that.
mm.
I think he would have been a good person for it. But then the other person worth mentioning here who contributed a lot to this movie was Dan O'Bannon. And Dan
Yes.
O'Bannon is most famous for dun, da, da, Alien.
Yes.
And in fact, this movie inspired him to make a movie about an alien, a
Right.
little bit more threatening than the alien in this movie.
Yeah. A little bit. A
Yes.
little bit.
But so he and Ronald Shusett did the script for Alien. O'Bannon also did Return of the Living Dead. A lot of script writing here. I'm going to be talking
Right.
about
Right.
Life Force and the remake of Invaders from Mars, Heavy Metal, Total Recall, and he was actually a contributor to the computer graphics in Star Wars.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's all over geek cinema of the 70s and 80s in particular as well. And so they met as students. They made a 45-minute movie, and then later were able to convince a studio to expand it, do some additional shoots, do some additional special effects, and turn it into something that could be in a theater.
So it just occurs to me: is Ancient Geeks our student film, Tom?
It is. It's very astute film like. I actually, you know what? We're not pretentious enough
That's
for it to
true.
be a student film. Like measured at Lucas THX 1138 standards, nowhere near that level of pretentiousness. Not at all.
We'll have to work on that.
Yeah. We should do an episode on heavy metal sometime. Did you see that when it came out?
No.
Okay.
I've seen no. I did
But you
not
read
see
the
when it came
magazine,
out.
I bet.
I'd seen some of the magazine. Again, I was a little young for it because it was rated R, was it not?
Spicy.
It was spicy. I know I saw parts of it, like again on like a friend who had HBO or whatever kind of thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I don't think I've sat through the whole thing. Anyway,
Okay. Well, anyway, uh, continuing to talk about when we first encounter things, you had not seen this movie before.
no, I had not.
No, I had seen it before. I
Yes.
definitely saw it in a theater. I don't know if it
Hmm.
was in the normal theatrical run of it in
Hmm.
1974, or I saw it at the Balboa Theater in Newport Beach as part of their
Right.
continually changing repertory theater menu of things that were on the agenda for them.
Right.
I've watched it many times since then,
Okay.
particularly in my teens. This was a favorite of my group of geeky friends at the time. A lot of running jokes from this movie.
Sure.
I
What were
didn't.
some that? What were some that? I mean, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but I'm curious. What were some running jokes that y'all?
Yeah. What's Talaby's first name? Ooh, what's my first name?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Anyway, these guys are really burned out. They've been on this
Yes.
mission for
Yes.
years and years, and they just are become totally unglued. Or Sergeant Pinback, it's time to feed the alien.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to do that. That was sort of like
Yeah.
a hallmark of being a teen, of the so many things
Yes.
you didn't want to do.
Right.
Sergeant Pinback, it's time to take out the trash. Oh, I don't want to do that. Sergeant
Fair
Pinback,
enough.
it's time to clean up your room. I didn't make the connection with John Carpenter until later,
Right.
because it wasn't really until Halloween that John Carpenter was a big name, at
Right.
least in my understanding of his presence in Hollywood at the time.
I think that's fair.
So the crew of the Dark Star is incredibly burned out. They all have different psychoses. One's a sort of a violent thug. Another one is completely spaced out. He's up in the in the kind of the observation dome of the spaceship because he's traumatized by the death of the captain, which happened unexpectedly and
Yes.
horribly. One of them pines for the days when he could ride his surfboard, but he's stuck on this spaceship and he seems completely obsessed with just blowing things up because that's their
Yes.
mission, is to blow up
Yes.
unstable planets, whatever unstable means. And the last one is just sort of a goof
The goof.
who's
Yeah.
who's not even the person
He's supposed to
whose
be. Yeah.
name is
That's right.
on his uniform.
Yes. That's right.
This movie came out, as I said, in '74. Uh, Ebert gave it 3 out of 4 stars.
Hmm.
Does that surprise you?
Yes.
Okay. Doesn't surprise me. But
He gave THX 1138 3 out of 4 stars too.
yes, but we're going to have a healthy exchange of views about this. Carpenter made it as a reaction to 2001. I think it's also a reaction to Star Trek.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Yes. Yeah. This is the opposite of the Starship
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Enterprise.
Yes.
Yes.
I caught that real fast.
And I found this really terrific quote from Carpenter, which kind of it summarizes not just this movie, but his other movies as well. He said,
Hmm.
and my whole philosophy of movies is that movies are not intellectual. They are not ideas. That is done in literature and in all sorts of other forms. Movies are emotional. An audience should cry or laugh or get scared. I think the audience should project into the film, into a character, into a situation, and react.
I think it's a very interesting quote. I think it's a false dichotomy.
Oh, I think it's a false dichotomy too, but I think he aspired to, from the beginning, to be a
Hmm.
good maker of what people, I think, sometimes falsely labeled B movies.
Hmm.
But as a filmmaking philosophy, I definitely would get where he's coming from.
I get where he's coming from. I
And
do. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and he apparently has always been a big fan of movies of the 1940s,
Hmm.
which definitely, I think, if you look at like a lot of the film noir offerings from that era, definitely fit the bill from what he was talking about there. And idea that films are not intellectual, that's the ultimate
Yeah.
statement against 2001.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sure. 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 Sure.
Yeah,
I will say this about Star Trek though.
yeah.
We'll get the specifics, but I did write down in my notes early on, is this Turkish Star Trek? So there is that going on.
For those who don't know, just go and Google
Google
Turkish Star
Turkish
Trek and
Star Trek.
watch some
We've
clips.
mentioned it before, but
I
it's
know,
yeah.
Yeah, maybe not
No, no, it needs
everybody's
to.
heard all
That's
our
the.
episodes.
It's like the footnotes in the Marvel comics.
Right.
Asterisk. Go Google Turkish Star Trek.
Exactly. All right. So let's run through the plot. So
Sure.
the movie starts with a transmission that they've
Hmm.
received. It's taken a long time for them to reach as far
Yes.
out as they are in space, hunting down rogue planets. It's this kind of smarmy guy
Hmm.
who is saying things like, "Well, we all got your last message. Drop us a line more often." He has that sort of unctuous
Yeah.
quality that
Yes. Yes.
spokespeople
Yes.
have. He's the
Yes.
kind of guy who would have called you Steve
Yes.
repeatedly.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. No, that's not my name. Okay,
Exactly.
Steve.
That's right. That's right.
So that's the little exposition dump at the beginning of the movie. We find out, who these people are and what they're doing, and then we see the first bombing mission happens.
Hmm.
At first, other than everybody being very hairy,
Yes.
yes, it's like nobody's grooming at all
Well,
anymore
it
on this
looks like a
ship.
band from the 70s.
Yes, it is very 70s
Yeah.
hairstyles. I may have
Hmm.
had hair like that when I was in my teens. Other than that, the bombing mission seems to go just fine, right? So
Yes. Yeah.
they have a bomb that lowers from the bottom of the ship.
Hmm.
It has an artificial intelligence in it, so they're talking to the bomb,
Yes.
who is just this sort of chirpy
Yeah.
little personality.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready to go. That sort of
No,
tone to him.
there was a little echo of Eddie the shipboard computer in some of this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. But immediately after the mission succeeds, you can see just how demented everybody is on this
Yeah.
ship.
Yeah. Yeah.
For example, like Sergeant Pinback, who's sort of the point of view character in this movie, I would say, he is trying to get the rest of the crew interested in some of the things that they see looking out in space.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it's clear for one thing that the commander of the mission now, since the captain died, Doolittle, is completely uninterested in any of this. As I said before, he just wants to blow things up. It's like at some
Right.
point he says something like, "Art, intelligent life, just don't give me that. Just find
That's
me
right.
a planet to
That's
destroy."
blow up. Yeah. Find me something I can blow up. And that's when I
Right.
wrote down it's the anti-Star Trek because he's like, I don't care about new life and new civilizations. I just want to blow
Yes.
stuff up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
wants to blow it up. And then Pinback says he finds they found a new star. Doolittle's not interested in naming it at all.
Right.
And then he says, "How about some music?" And they turn on the music, and then the theme song comes on, Benton,
Hmm.
Arizona,
Yes. Yes.
which that song plays in my head for all eternity. I don't know why. Maybe because I've seen this movie so many times, but
That would do
anyway,
it.
and it's incongruous, but it
Yeah, it
also
is. It
yeah,
is.
but it also so many things here are completely out of whack that
Yes.
it sort of makes sense. So we get to see, for example, if you can get to know the characters better, we get to see Pinback go through his old log recordings,
Yeah.
videos of him talking to
That's
the camera.
it's quite a bit later in the movie, though, isn't it?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I'm
Uh,
just.
Yeah, but we get to see like throughout the first part of the
Mhm.
movie until the finale, we get to see these little kind of character
Yeah.
defining moments.
It was a
Uh,
bit in the crew quarters where they're
yeah,
doing various reading comic books and playing with knives and
right. And Pinback
stuff.
asks, the regular crew quarters got decompressed, but we could fix that. We
Right.
could just go outside in a spacesuit and weld the hole. And nobody responds. They have
Right.
no interest in
Right.
whatsoever. They're
That's right.
living basically in this blank room with cots,
Right.
and they all have their own little corner of it. And
Hmm.
they've got Playboy pictures up on one
Hmm.
wall, and Boiler, the other guy, sprayed his name on the wall. And anyway,
Yeah. And they smoke in space.
and they smoke in space. I knew this was coming. And then, aside from that, kind of seeing their disintegration, we get to see some of the first signs that the ship is falling apart
Hmm.
because there's a bomb malfunction.
Hmm.
They hit a meteor storm, and the next bomb in the queue
In sequence,
accidentally
yeah.
deploys below the ship, and the ship's onboard computer has to talk it out of
Yes.
going through its mission,
Yes.
which it reluctantly does. It's
It's more anti-AI right there.
More anti-AI. Anyway, so
Don't give bombs
it
AI.
grumbles. It grumbles as it goes back in.
Yes.
The woman who did the computer voices
Hmm.
did a great job in this.
She did, yeah.
And then we get to see, speaking of incongruous, Sergeant Pinback does have to feed the alien,
Yes.
and he goes into this. We're obviously spoiling the hell out of this. Once again, I
It is what we do.
overcome my allergy to spoilers. The alien is, how would you describe it?
It's a beach ball with feet.
With feet.
It
And
looks but it's painted kind of like it. My grandmother had a pin cushion that looked like a tomato. That's what it reminded
yes,
me of.
and it's a little bit of a troublemaker. It's a little bit of an imp, and it
Yes.
gets loose. And the whole scene, and I won't describe everything that happens in the scene,
No, it'd
but
take too long.
it's like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
It
It's like
yes, it
Bugs
is.
Bunny and Elmer Fudd.
There's some that's a good comp. For me, it went from getting over the low res of it all, which is fine, to being amused by it to being tired of it.
Uh-huh.
Because in my opinion, it went on too long.
Hmm.
But I did like the part where the alien got the broom and started beating him with it. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. I did like, I always laugh at, when he's stuck in the elevator
Hmm.
and he's punching the buttons at random.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, oh, warning, warning, the
Yeah.
explosive bolts are deploying.
Yes.
Ah. All right, I won't go too much more into the story, other than we do reach a point at which the bomb has a couple of times been deployed and talked back in, and then it finally decides, nope, I'm going through with it. You built me to blow up. I'm going to blow
Right.
up.
Right.
It has to be released from
Yeah.
the
The
ship
clamp.
in order, so it's stuck there. It's going to kill them all,
Yes.
and then they have to figure out what to do. Doolittle goes and consults with the dead captain,
Yes.
who's on
In
ice
cryogenic freeze. Yes.
in cryogenic freeze, but they can turn up his brain functions long enough to have a conversation. He teaches the bomb phenomenology,
Yes.
which
Yes.
temporarily delays
Right.
the destruction of the ship, but at the end it does blow up. In
Yes.
something I didn't realize until researching this particular episode, that is a nod to the Ray Bradbury short story Kaleidoscope.
Oh, I think Bradbury thought it was plagiarism, so I don't think
Yes,
he considered it a nod at all.
a nod, a nod and a wink.
Apparently,
Yeah.
he had a confrontation with one of the actors from the movie
Oh yeah. Well,
at a con or something.
yeah. Well, I mean, I guess some of the dialogue is pretty much taken
Yeah.
from the story,
Right.
so
Right. Right.
it is plagiarism. uh,
One man's homage is another man's plagiarism, I guess.
homage.
Yes.
Anyway, and everyone kind of meets their ultimate fate,
Yes.
including that Doolittle gets to live sort of his dream of surfing for one last time.
Yes. One last surf to his
Yes,
death.
yes. All right. Before we get into grades,
Yeah.
what for you were the best scenes in this movie?
Um, that's a really good question. I don't. None of the scenes just grip me, to be honest. I mean, I found the phenomenology scene probably my favorite, but it also
Hmm.
was somewhat reminiscent of Kirk trying to again being anti-Star Trek, failing to talk a bomb
Right,
into or a computer into
right.
doing what he wanted to do.
But it's an interesting twist on that because it's,
Yeah,
how do you
yeah,
know that what you're experiencing is
right.
real?
And then
Yeah,
that ends up backfiring, no pun intended. But
yeah.
yeah, I think that's probably my favorite scene. I How about you?
I would say the Pinback's video log is pretty
Yeah,
great.
that's a good scene. That's a good scene. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that tells you a lot. That's actually one of the more. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good, even though it was an 8-track tape, which I thought was hilarious.
Oh yeah. We'll get to the special effects and production
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
design
yeah, yeah, sure.
and related details like that. It's very funny. Like he has different sort of emotions and the different clips.
Yes. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
kind of see his
Yes.
progression from being
Yes.
this person who shouldn't be on the ship in the first
Yes.
place, kind of being resentful about that. Anyway, uh, one of the lines we quoted a lot was, my ideas were brutally rejected.
Yeah. It's a good line. That's a good line. Sure.
So I would cite that, I think the phenomenology scene, the discussion with the bomb. There's a lot about the alien that it's still funny to me. I don't know,
Yeah.
and it doesn't go on too long for me. But
Sure.
I
Sure.
could
Sure. Sure.
I could see
No.
where if you're not into this movie,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
okay, get on with the story already.
Well, yeah.
And they're just like these little moments, these little snips of dialogue. It's like,
Yeah.
didn't he tell us this story before? It was like, yeah, it
Yeah.
was 4 years ago. No, it was 4 years ago.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yes.
Yeah. So it's not a movie so much of scenes as moments, I would say.
Yes. That's part of why I had a hard time with there was a couple of, I appreciated the craftsmanship of the little capsule, the control room and how some of it was filmed.
Yeah.
And I kind of enjoyed when doing the countdown, they were all kind of like bobbing their heads.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, actual scenes, it was the only, I guess, probably why I ended up with the phenomenology scene because it really is a scene.
Right.
But yeah,
And I would say like that's the control room is, taking a particular limitation and turning into a virtue.
yeah,
It is incredibly cramped.
yes, it
So
is.
they didn't have any budget to make huge
No,
sets here. So the bridge
no,
of the ship, they're sitting
like shoulder to shoulder. Yeah,
shoulder to shoulder, basically like you're on one side of a plane in a single
yes.
row. And
Although they're facing both directions,
yeah,
so
yeah,
you're going right down the middle. Yeah.
yeah. And one of them is sitting next to the seat that exploded and killed the captain, and they still
Yes.
haven't fixed the problem.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. What were the worst scenes?
I think my least favorite scene was the xylophone
Okay. Yeah.
because
I,
I'm
I
like,
could have done without that scene, to
that's
be
partly
honest.
why because we'd already
Yeah.
established in the previous thing that life is sad on the ship.
Right.
So I didn't need extra sad at that point, I guess.
Yeah, and I think the when Talby finally comes down and starts to kind of bumble around trying to
Hmm.
fix the problem with the communications laser, that went on a bit long. And
Hmm.
anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. How would you describe the humor in this movie?
I would describe it as like I already did. It's dark comedy. I I don't know. There wasn't. I would like to. I've been thinking about this, right? So like again, I came to this movie totally cold. I mean, I didn't knew nothing about it. I knew more
Okay.
about Duel than I knew about this movie, and I knew almost nothing about Duel.
Hmm.
I knew there were cars involved in Duel. I wasn't even sure what this was about. So I think part of it was getting my bearings to what the movie was. And I did. You get a hint at the beginning with the little, when the guy says you're doing swell, that really, okay, this is
Yeah.
something going on here. And I think I really keyed in on it when they said that, to use the quote that I used at the top of the episode, when they told in the report that the ship's supply of toilet paper had been destroyed. I'm like, okay, this is supposed to be funny.
Right.
So I included all that, but it's kind of bleak though, also, right?
Hmm.
And I part of it is again, it gets back to the student film of it all. How much of this is just because it's a low budget, truly limited production, and how much of it's on purpose, I guess, sort of the spareness of it all. I would have liked maybe a little. I didn't need like a joke a minute kind of thing, but I think I kind
Hmm.
of needed. There's so much bleakness and not bleak humor. I think I needed a
Hmm.
little more humor than I got, or this needed to be a lot shorter.
Yeah. Well, it was.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it
and
was. It
I
was.
actually have the DVD, and it has the short version on it.
Yeah,
It resembles to me British humor, that
yeah,
it kind of embraces the bleakness sometimes. When
sure,
we're talking about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy,
yeah,
Douglas Adams could make us laugh at the destruction of Earth
sure.
and other horrible events. But I think it's even bleaker than that.
Oh, it's much bleaker than that. I mean, it is. I mean, these guys are in kind of hell
Yeah,
after a
it is.
fashion.
Right.
And I honestly tried really hard, and I didn't do this to myself. I mean, occasionally I'm like, that ship's too small to have that many big bombs in it. I try not to do that kind of
Right.
stuff. I like suspended
It's
a lot
hard to
of the
tell how
stuff.
big the ship is.
Yeah, it's
It's big enough to have an elevator that goes up and down through several floors.
right. But
Yeah.
then the actual bomb looks relatively like it takes up a huge amount of the ship's whole
Oh,
hold. It
yes.
doesn't matter. That stuff I didn't. I first I fixate and fixate. I like they could send the shuttle out to give them radiation shielding, so that means they do have some kind of. The whole thing is. I tried. I set all that aside. I'm like, fine. They're just on the ship. They're out there because that's fine. I tried not to
This
think
does
about any of
not
that
make
stuff.
sense.
Yeah, I didn't try to. I didn't get wrapped up in all that.
Yeah.
But like, is this movie a commentary about working class people? This is supposed to be, but I just feel like it's a series of particular ideas and jokes that are all strung together. I'm just not sure. So they could make the film. It's sort of amazing to me that it was released as a feature. I know they had
Mm,
to add footage, but I mean, it just
right.
unlike so like if as much as we criticize THX 1138, it feels like a complete movie. And
Hmm.
it doesn't feel like I can tell it has its origins in a student film,
Right.
but it doesn't feel like because he didn't. It's not like he took the student film that we both watched
Right.
and just stuck another 30 minutes into it and released it to the
Yeah.
public.
And again, the contrast is Lucas's student film was 15 minutes of a
Right,
guy running around a parking lot
right, right,
with various people on monitor duty
right, right,
in some other location where there's really no plot.
right,
And here there actually was a plot, and I guess it took
right,
2 years to make this movie. Yeah, there was
right,
something watchable,
right.
with a beginning and end,
Sure. No,
in 45 minutes runtime
right.
that then got padded up. So both movies have a very kind of different genesis.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm suggesting is it might have been possible to create another iteration of this movie if they kind of started from scratch
Yes.
based on the student film, but then with a little more budget and care. But again,
That's a
I,
great point. That's a great point.
I mean,
Yes.
not maybe I'm getting ahead of her. Well, I'll save that thought. Let's talk about grades or whatever
Okay,
you want to talk
grades.
about next. But
What grades would you give this B movie? He
I gave it a
said.
C plus.
Okay, I gave it a B.
Yeah,
I think for
trying to leave
being a
me on there with
student
it.
film,
Yeah,
no, I was just giving a little bit of foreshadowing about
I'm
what my score
teasing.
would be.
I'm teasing.
I thought that as a student film, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
Again, that there's more.
yeah.
There was more there than there was in
Yes,
Lucas's.
I agree.
It's definitely not as good as Duel as a first movie.
No.
No.
I mean, this is part of the problem, and it's relate back to Duel. Like when we graded Duel, I gave it, because it was a TV movie, it had me, I ended up sort of grading it higher.
Right.
And with this one, if we're grading it just as a student film, I would grade it higher. But it was a
Right.
theatrical release,
Right.
so that then changes sort of the context, right? So it's just that's why I gave it a C plus. But again, I think. This is again, I find all this very interesting, and maybe nobody else but me finds it interesting as we do this podcast. When it's something that either I watched or read as a kid and you didn't, or vice
Right.
versa. Like I love Buckaroo Banzai more than you do, and I
Hmm.
think you didn't see it. And I was also a certain age. I think that this would have hit me if I had watched this with friends when I was a teenager, and we had the inside jokes. I
Right.
probably have more affection for this movie than I do.
I
But
can definitely
watching
see
it
that.
I can see these glimmers of things, and I can certainly see how certain, and I have some affection for especially Pinback. The rest of them
Hmm.
almost become one mass to me. They're just a
Yeah.
bunch of hairy guys in khaki suits.
Hmm.
But so I think that affects the way I look at it too. Anyway, that's
Yeah.
my profound thought for
I
the
would
moment.
definitely agree with that. I think my affection for this movie is colored by the fact that I did share it with friends when I was
Yeah, oh,
young.
sure.
And a lot of the dark humor was appealing to me at that time. But I would also say that if Carpenter is a deliberate B movie maker,
Hmm. Sure.
then I would put this in the same sort of zone as when we did the bee monster movie
Hmm.
episode. It came from outer space, the
Right.
giant claw.
Right.
Things of varying level of filmmaking quality,
Sure.
but still could be really enjoyable. Like
Yeah.
I would still watch the giant claw again, just
Right.
because it's such an absurd movie.
Yeah, and to be clear, I mean, I enjoy a little foray into that, but then again, that's something that you have more affection for than I do, though.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a taste thing, that's life. But it's just interesting. It's just I find the whole thought process about trying to sort of understand how we encounter these things does affect how we view them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then shapes our tastes for the rest of our
Yes,
lives.
that too.
When
That
we look
too.
at other things,
Yes.
while we're recording this, there's a new He-Man movie out,
Oh,
and
I've already seen it. No, I haven't.
I was not a He-Man person,
No.
kid, whatever, but I know other people were, and God bless them if they enjoy that movie. So the screenplay, what would you give it?
I gave it a C.
I'm going to give it a B minus.
Okay. Because I'm
Again,
being
because I
mean
think
to you.
it was a 45-minute
Right.
movie that worked,
Right.
and padding it out maybe was a questionable decision. I do want to say there are two things that do directly link this to Alien, aside from Dan
Yes.
O'Bannon
Yes. Yes. Yes.
being the writer of both of them. One is certainly his desire to have a better movie about an alien and a better alien in
Yeah.
that movie.
Then a beach ball.
Right, that then led him to think, okay, well, so what kind of alien do we
Yeah.
want, and so
Yeah.
forth, and that's a whole fascinating journey to what became the movie Alien. I think the other one was the working class nature
Yes.
of the crew of this ship.
Yes.
It was something directly translated into Alien.
Absolutely. No, in some ways, as I said to you offline the other day, this movie, at least for the ancient geek part, especially also as I've only watched two other John Carpenter movies that I'm certain that
Uh,
I watched. This is almost as much an origin story for Dan O'Bannon for me than it is for John Carpenter
oh,
because
absolutely,
of the
yeah.
alien connection.
I think it's as much for both of them. For both
Yeah.
of them. How about direction?
I gave it a B
Yeah, I
because
gave it a
there are
B
some
too.
interesting things in it. Like I said, like the way they shot the control room and some of the other, there are some interesting shots. It's a very drab movie. The color palette's not
Yeah,
exactly, and you can just, it's low res. I mean, again, I know it's student film at all, but I mean, you compare this movie, which was a theatrical release, to Duel.
right.
The images in Duel are just so much better
Yeah.
than in this movie. Anyway,
I
that's
might
just,
even go down to a B minus. I mean,
mm.
as you said, if Duel is the standard for what an A is for a young filmmaker, then maybe a B minus. How about cinematography?
I gave it a C minus.
I give it a C.
It's fine.
Yeah, they had a limited budget, even when they were given money to go
Yeah.
film, an expanded version of this.
Yeah, I thought I'd written the budget. No, I did not. That was the other movie. Never mind.
Though it's interesting that there are, I guess, no blue screen shots in this.
Right.
It's all overlays over just like this model of the ship, and
Hmm.
they're moving it along
Sure. Oh.
past the
I
camera on
mean,
a
yeah,
dolly.
that was
Yeah,
fine. I mean, it
yeah,
was. I didn't get upset at the low quality of the models and all that stuff.
right.
It's just the actual shots themselves are kind of muddy, and that's why I
Mhm.
gave it the grade I gave
Yeah.
it.
Acting. How about Dan O'Bannon as Pinback?
I
Well,
gave him a B.
yeah, I gave him a B plus. He
He's the only good thing in the movie. That's not fair. He's the thing I like the best about the movie. I'll put
yeah,
it that. That's a better way of putting it.
yeah.
I did
He
enjoy his
was
performance.
he was funny.
Yeah, he was.
Uh,
He was.
how about Brian Norell as
So
Doolittle?
we can definitely go one by one, but I'm gonna make a statement. I gave everybody else a C
Okay.
because none of them stuck out at me at all after Pinback. Pinback was a character, and the rest of them were people that were on an album cover in 1974. That's in my brain. That's how it panned out.
Prog rock album.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe Doolittle. I maybe should be a little more kind. He does at the end have a decent scene.
Yeah.
And Talbot. I mean, I'm not being a little silly, but I mean, in some ways, I'm some ways I'm serious, in some ways I'm being a little silly. They really all were just kind of fine, and so
Yes.
they were average. Hence, I gave them C's. But
Okay.
I can, we can be a little more
Yeah.
refined now. So
Yeah,
let's talk
you're
about
reminding
Doolittle.
me about what a C should be. I give Doolittle a C plus.
That's fair.
Uh,
That's totally fair.
Talby, Dre Pahich,
Yeah,
I gave him a C minus.
that's fair too. He
Uh,
mostly just sits in his chair.
right. Yes. Occasionally spins around
That's right.
dramatically.
Of course.
Apparently, the actor had a thick accent, so they had to redub his lines.
Yes. Yes. And
I
also the scenes where I forget which, again, because I can't differentiate the characters, that when that goes up to talk to him,
Yeah,
those were filmed. They weren't there at the same time.
yeah.
I think it was
That was
Anderson,
Doolittle who went up,
Doolittle.
brought in
Yeah.
the food. Yeah.
That's right.
Boiler, Cal Cunningham.
Is he the blondish one?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
the brute.
Yeah. Yeah.
The guy who's
That's right.
dragging the cover of the heating unit down the hall so he can
That's right.
fire the laser gun at it.
Yes, that's right. That seemed unwise. Yeah, that's right.
And then Cookie Knapp is the computer voice.
Yeah. I mean, I gave her a C, but yeah, she was C plus, B minus, C
Yeah,
plus. I'll
B
say C
minus.
plus.
I'll say B minus. Okay, production design.
I gave that a B.
Yeah,
This is one of these cases where there was enough going on in my mind. Again, because it was a student film, it felt like a junky spaceship as well as you're going to get in this situation. And I also did like the control room.
yeah. By the way, as junky spaceships though go,
Uh-huh.
this came earlier than Star Wars and the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, that's true.
I just mentioned Ron Cobb did
So
some of
just for
the.
everyone to now know, Tom is saying that the Dark Star is cooler than the Millennium Falcon.
That's exactly what I meant.
That's exactly what he meant.
Exactly what I meant. So Ron Cobb contributed a lot to the production design of this movie, who also then went on to contribute to Star Wars and a lot. Sorry, not Star Wars and Alien and a lot of other movies. Okay, special effects.
I gave it a C plus. The
I
plus
gave
is
it
for
a
effort.
Yeah, B minus, taking into account the budget constraints.
Yeah.
There were a lot of there were a lot of moments like when they were showing the interior, the ship, some of the automated sections and things were flashing and so forth, and the equipment that they used to build it. I mean, other times it was really obvious what they did, like the
Yeah.
muffin tin that's on the front of the
Yeah. Right.
spacesuit.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
pretty hilarious. Dan O'Bannon was chief of special effects for this movie.
Hey,
He did everything.
he was a busy boy.
Okay, and the soundtrack.
I gave it a C minus. It just seemed cheap and fillery. I know Carpenter did it and he likes to use
Yeah,
on music, but
yeah, in a lot of his movies.
yeah.
Okay. Did the low budget matter to you?
I mean, not really. No. I mean, like I said, sometimes it slapped you in the face a little bit, but
Yeah,
I
the muffin
understood.
tin is really
Yeah, sure.
hard to miss.
Yeah.
But I mean, as like points of comparison, Doctor Who, Blake
Yeah.
Seven. I said before the low budgets didn't matter for me with those,
Oh,
and
I think they both have better effects in this movie, though.
they certainly have better makeup.
That's
Like a
true.
lot of the alien makeup in Doctor
Oh
Who
yeah.
is pretty stellar.
Oh,
But
it is. Yeah.
in this case, it's earnest.
Sure.
Earnestness always wins me over.
Sure.
Do you think that it is a good B movie?
For me, I have a hard time. I just it's a C plus. So
Okay. What would you give the giant claw?
it's a great question. I mean, I might give the Giant Claw maybe a C plus as well. Actually,
Okay.
maybe it all begins. Part of the problem then becomes what's the comparison set? I mean, this is part of the problem with grading. This is that it, the category matters. The assignment the assignment matters for what you're grading, right?
Right.
I mean, how do you see this movie? Maybe there's a better way of asking this question. How would you relate this movie to The Giant Claw as a movie? What is
And
it? What's the category that I mean? I understand the B movie of it, but what does that mean to you in this
so I think
context?
it's someone's trying to tell an engaging yarn And in the case of the Giant Claw or Attack of the Crab Monsters or other movies I've
Right.
enjoyed in the past, there's no humor there in
Hmm.
those movies. Here it is attempting to have some humor, but whatever the case is, it's an earnest effort to tell a story that will keep people entertained for 90 minutes.
So, okay, here's, I guess, what I would say. The giant claw has more of a story than this movie does.
Yes, that's true.
And I think part of what I'm reacting to is it feels like, as you said a little while ago, not even scenes, but moments
Right.
kind of abstractly stitched together
Hmm.
without, I mean, I understand the story is we're blowing up planets, the ship's falling apart, and all this culminates in us all dying.
Right. But isn't that true
But
of some other movies that we've seen too? You know, that like
sure,
Buckaroo
maybe.
Banzai could be accused of having more
I
moments
felt
than
there was a
scenes.
story there though. And there was a story.
Uh, I, I think there was more of a story in The Giant Claw than in Buckaroo Banzai. I think Buckaroo Banzai was about creating cool moments.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's an invasion, and there's a story. I mean, I'm not going to relitigate Buckaroo Banzai. Maybe there's more of a story in the Giant Claw, but
This is a
uh,
conversation I never expected to happen in my life.
but but
Which of these has more narrative integrity? The Giant Claw or Buckaroo Banzai?
um,
A paper presented at.
oh, good Lord, GeekCon 2026. Um,
No, I was thinking an academic conference.
I'm sure there's. Well, there is an academic component to what is the what's there's a con that takes place in Atlanta every year, and it has an
Hmm.
academic component to it. If you want
Yeah,
to present the paper, we can probably make that happen.
let's do that.
Dragon Con, I think. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I'm pretty sure it's Dragon Con.
I think there's an academic because I had a colleague that would present papers at the Dragon Con
Right.
academic part. Anyway,
Yeah, and I think like the Monster Talk people are at Dragon Con a lot.
that would not surprise me.
Yeah.
Well, I will, for the record, point out that you didn't ask what had more of a narrative, Dark Star or Giant Claw. You had to divert to another movie that I like to make your point. So
Yeah.
there.
Okay. Want to say what the movie is?
No, Buckaroo Banzai.
Okay. So if we're comparing this to other movies, and
Yeah,
we've done this before,
sure.
would you rather rewatch this movie or another Star Lost episode?
I did write down at one point, is this the lost episode of the Star Lost? So that's kind of how I reacted at one point. It did get a little
So
better for
it's
me.
a coin toss for you.
I think I would rather. I actually I do have a serious answer. I would rather rewatch this movie. I think maybe a second watch might. I don't plan on it, by the way, but I think it might. I might
Hmm.
appreciate it more knowing what I was looking for rather than
Right.
starting so cold as to not know. Because sometimes being totally cold is great. Sometimes you get
Yeah.
out of your head trying to figure out what you're looking at. So I
Yeah.
think I think I would definitely rather rewatch this than another Star Lost episode.
Okay. This or David Lynch's Dune?
Uh, I think I might again. I think based on what I just said, I'd rather rewatch this.
Okay. This or Legends of the
Well,
Superheroes?
that's easy. I'd rather watch paint dry, so I'll watch this.
This or Flash Gordon?
That's more of a toss up. Although right now I've talked myself into the notion that a second viewing of this might be useful, at least in the abstract. So I think this, but as a movie, I might rather watch Flash Gordon. That one's a little.
Right.
If I set aside the academic enterprise of trying to like look at it a second time, I might prefer to watch Flash Gordon. How about yourself? Any of those things? Would you rather watch any of those things other than this movie?
Oh God, no.
Yeah, I
No.
didn't figure.
No. Yeah, and I would rather watch this again than Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die.
Okay.
So Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die is 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It is a movie that has like a few ideas in it. I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the reviews I read gave it way too much credit for profundity that it definitely did not possess. And it had a humorous elements in it. It was intended to be a sort of comedy, the way that
Right.
this one is definitely intended to be a comedy. It had a much bigger budget.
Sure.
It was a lot less fun. I mean,
Interesting.
things that I think do score points with me. An earnest effort to tell a cracking yarn
Hmm.
that is fun or funny or exciting or whatever. And you can overlook the low budget. You can overlook other blemishes on it. I much rather watch this than that movie again.
Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
It was a hard slog for me to get through that movie on the plane, even though I'm trapped like those guys in the control room
In the
on the
giant
Dark
tube in
Star.
the sky.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. What makes this a John Carpenter movie? I know that's a hard one for
Yeah, I
you to
don't have a
answer.
good
I
answer.
think the satire,
Hmm.
movies like They Live are
Hmm.
certainly satire. The dark and wry humor of it, is
Right.
reminiscent of like Big Trouble in Little China.
Right.
I think the choice of geek subjects, Carpenter makes a lot of geek movies over the years. And in using his own soundtrack, like writing his own soundtrack and
Right.
performing it, I think that's another Carpenter-esque moment. Plus, what we've been harping on here quite a lot, the effort to make a good B movie.
Right.
What makes this a Dan O'Bannon movie? I would say choice of geek subjects, horror. It's made a lot of horror movies or written a lot
Hmm.
of horror movies over the years, and the humor. Return of the
Sure.
Living Dead is sort of a horror comedy, and you know, I think that's another staple of Dan O'Bannon's work.
Fair
Was this
enough.
was this a better student film than George Lucas's?
Well, it's hard to judge because I didn't watch the student film alone to make the comparison. Like I said in that episode 2 weeks ago, I thought I understood why THX 1138 won an award,
Yeah,
but I also found it ponderous.
yeah.
So I think I prefer this one. I don't know which one's a better student film. Actually, I think in some ways Lucas may have had more technically interesting things in his than this did.
Yeah,
So it's hard for me to judge. It was
yeah.
also even more pretentious. So if pretentious is important for a student film, well then, what more do you want?
Yeah, I
But
mean the,
I
the
don't know. What do you
THX
think?
1138 student film is more of a tone poem
Yeah, yeah.
than a movie. And I
Hmm.
think that probably Carpenter learned a lot about filmmaking having made the student
True.
movie version of this, the shorter
Hmm.
version.
Hmm.
Okay. We've talked about three different movies, three different directors.
Hmm.
Let's rank them. And we're
Right.
going to rank them based on different criteria, not the sort of
Right.
mushy concept of what's
Sure.
best, but
Hmm.
which of these did you find the most entertaining and the least entertaining?
I
It's
found
THX 11, THX
yeah,
1138,
38.
Duel, and Dark Star.
So I definitely found Duel the most entertaining.
I agree with
And
that.
then I think I found Dark Star the second most, but it's almost like a tie for third for those two
Okay.
movies.
Yeah, and not surprisingly, I found it easily second place, and
Sure,
THX 1138 definitely in the
sure,
basement.
sure.
Which
No,
was the
It's more.
yeah,
It is more entertaining. So I mean, it's definitely Duel, Dark Star, THX 1138. But
okay. Which was the most thought provoking?
that's a thought-provoking question. I think it's a. I'm not, it's hard to rank them. I think THX 1138 has the most profound themes in it
Hmm.
because of the whole dystopia thing. But then Duel has these. I'm going to put Duel first because it creates these questions about masculinity and then also sort of thinking about the sort of banal horror of the whole thing, as well as is the truck possessed? Who knows? So I think I put
Hmm.
Duel, THX 1138, and I put this one, Dark Star, third most thought provoking. I'm not sure what thoughts it provokes, to be
I
honest. I
I
mean,
thought again, I thought the dystopian elements of THX 1138 were a bit trite,
that's fair. That's totally fair.
which colors my standard. I think that, Duel is thought provoking in the sense that it's an exciting movie with a little bit of a hidden morality tale in
Yeah.
it. Like, why is he engaged in this duel
Hmm.
at all?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Why doesn't he turn back? I'd say in that sense, that's for me the most thought-provoking.
Hmm. Hmm.
And obviously, from the last episode, touched a nerve with me as somebody who
Sure.
grew up driving
Yeah.
in Southern
Yes.
California.
Yes. Yes.
So maybe THX 1138 second and this one third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a detour for a second because
Yeah.
we all have to we listen to these episodes to QA them to make sure they're
Yes.
not. And I was listening to the discussion that we had about the dystopian thing, and you made some comments, and it struck me. I think you talked about you thought it was interesting because it was a more bland dystopia, and there was no
Right.
like. And I realized that you were giving the movie credit for maybe the fact that the movie just bland itself, and that's
Yes.
why it wasn't on purpose
Yes.
that Lucas was making this commentary on dystopian futures. It's just it was boring. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. But okay, so I think that does make me think it's solidly in second place because
Mhm,
of that colorless dystopia where
mhm.
there's no mastermind in charge,
Yeah.
which is often the case with dystopian stories. There's no, kind of mustache twirling evil villain
I just
involved.
don't think
It's
he
just
thought about any of it. He just
it's
knew what he wanted to look like.
right. Just like the entire future is like staffed by people whose lives are completely unfulfilling, unemotional. They have no sense of that they're contributing anything, that there's no sense of morality involved.
Right.
It's, as we said, bland.
But my point is kind of this.
Yeah.
I think that's all giving him too much credit. I think he
Oh, I
figured
know.
out
I know.
I
I
think
know.
he thinks he wanted a white color palette. He wanted a bunch of bald people in white shirts because
Right.
and I think literally it
That
was
would, right.
the way that it looked was what mattered. I don't,
I
and
know.
then we extrapolate out. I mean, it's anyway. We're not talking about
Sometimes,
THX 38.
sometimes a creative person's work can have a greater impact than they ever intended.
Oh, that's true. Well, that reminds me, my lit teacher would always say the author lies. So
Right.
you can't trust what they say. Anyway,
Right.
go
Which
ahead.
was always made me kind of a little amused at all the Joseph Campbell-esque
Oh
analyses
yeah,
of
sure,
Star Wars. Like,
sure.
come on, come on. Which was the most interesting when you were watching it?
Duel.
Duel, easily, yes, that's number
Duel
one.
was the most interesting movie. And then the ranking the other, I mean, I guess this one's the next most interesting. THX was again so bland, although again it had some things that were interesting from a technical point of view.
Yeah, but it's third.
Yeah,
Yeah, and because like a lot of the scenes, as we said, go on too long. Like
yeah,
the race car and the tunnel
sure,
scenes.
yeah.
So so for me, it's then Duel, Dark Star, THX 1138.
Hmm.
Which was the most rewatchable? We've already said that a little bit when we were comparing it to others.
Gee, I
Uh,
think it might be Duel.
Definitely Duel. And I would put this as number two and THX
Sure,
1138
sure.
as number
That's fair.
three.
That's fair. Yeah,
You'd have to pay me to watch that movie again.
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. Any other points of comparison until we get to the punchline of comparisons?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So, in which of these movies can you most see the later director?
Well, again, my Carpenter knowledge is limited, but
Yeah.
I think it's Spielberg in Duel. But I'm going to go back and say, as I did in the THX 1138 episode, Lucas's utter obsession with the technical, in some
Yes.
ways, shines through more than anything else in these movies.
Right.
Now, part of it's because that's with some knowledge of the career. Well, I mean, that's what we're doing, right? How do you compare to the career? So it's some of it's the Spielberg and Duel and the way he uses motion and cameras and some other elements. But I think in some ways, it's Lucas in TH 1138 focusing on the sound and the way it looks and also the obsession with tinkering with his work. In some ways, that's what really shines through the most to me.
Yeah. I I agree. This is the hardest question for me
Right?
to rate which is the most, which is the least, because they all these directors shine through in these
Sure,
three.
sure.
You can definitely see Carpenter's later work
Hmm.
in Dark Star, and I completely agree with you about Lucas's obsession with the technical elements of filmmaking. So I don't know. I
Yeah,
really don't know how to answer this question. But I didn't have any sort of foreshadowing in my mind of how I would answer this question
right.
because I remembered THX 1138 from having watched it long before
Hmm.
and remembering how it seemed not at all like my impression of Lucas as a director
Right.
from Star Wars. And now that I've seen it, it does seem to be of a piece with his later work for all the reasons we just
What?
cited.
So here's a question, and there's no way to do this now,
Mhm.
but it would be kind of fun if someone said, "Okay, we're going to make you watch three movies.
Right.
I'm going to give you five directors, and you have to match which of the five, of three of the five
Oh,
of these
okay.
movies." And I don't know if I would have been able to. Maybe I don't know. It's
That's an
just kind of
interesting question. Yeah. I think Duel really stands out as a Spielberg
yeah. I probably
movie.
would if I knew if Spielberg was one of the five, and
Yeah.
out of those three movies, I think that one I could have matched.
Yeah.
After that, I don't know. It depends who the other directors were, you know.
Right. Which movie of these three most deserves a sequel or a remake?
Well, clearly we need the Duel franchise. I already made this case. The Duel 3, The Search for the Snakeorama. I
Mamie's
feel like
Revenge.
Duel 2, Electric Boogaloo, or,
Yes.
maybe electric vehicles, right? This the Tesla attack. I don't know.
Yes.
Actually, I will say that kind of make something I said earlier. I think maybe Dark Star as a remake would have been the
Yes.
smarter thing to do to like really reconstruct it than what they did with it.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough to work with in THX
Right.
1138.
Well, you
Uh,
could find a way on the surface.
yeah.
It's what THX 1139. Oh, it's obvious.
I Duel, I don't want to touch it. I don't want someone to try
Yeah,
to
yeah, no,
remake
no.
it.
There's
We were
no.
joking about a sequel, but of course you could joke about all kinds of sequels that should
Yes.
not be made and get made. But Dark Star, I definitely think could work as a as an
It's
updated movie.
what we find out. Hear me out. I've got a
Okay.
pitch. So when THX 1138 emerges from the underground tunnel, we find out that he founds the mutants in Beneath the Planet of the Apes, and it was
Okay.
Earth all along. Anyway, I don't know.
Okay, so I have an idea for which please God let this never come to pass.
Yes,
For a dual sequel,
right.
or actually it would be a dual series. So
Yes.
it'd be set in the diner. It'd be like Deep Space Nine. So you have a fixed location. You have interesting
Yeah, yeah.
relationships among the
Right.
people there,
Sure.
and then you
All
have
four of them.
a kook per week.
Sure.
Some troubled person stumbles into the diner,
The
with whatever
tumbleweeds are trying to kill me.
there you go. There you go. That was an Outer Limits episode.
Like,
It definitely was with Eddie Albert. So,
that's funny. I did not know that.
yes.
Hmm.
All right. Which director is the biggest geek?
Based on just these movies,
Well, let's say just these movies and then let's do their entire body of work.
I think based just on these movies, I have to say John Carpenter,
Yeah,
although
I
that's Dan O'Bannon's influence too. Because again, he's in dialogue with 2001. He's in dialogue
he
with Star Trek.
he steals Ray Bradbury's ending.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, Duel is the least geeky movie
Yeah,
in that
definitely.
sense.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not
a mo-
really,
it's a movie geek movie, with the
yes,
Hitchcockian
yes,
influences and intent to do
yes,
it that sort
absolutely.
of suspense story. I think it's definitely Carpenter. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's
yeah.
fair.
Because I think that the THX 1130, I said it was trite in its dystopianism. It's
Hmm.
it's almost like somebody who had only like a passing understanding of dystopian literature and film and so forth. Just like tossed off an idea for making a dystopian movie.
Yeah, I thought maybe it had Pashmina. Regardless, yeah, it's like someone with the cliff notes of Brave New World and created
Yes.
this dystopia. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So wrapping up to go back to Dark Star.
Well, no, who do you think, but based on their career, is the geekiest filmmaker?
Oh, in their career. Sorry, I should have backtracked to that. I would say not Spielberg.
Really? That was going to be my choice, actually.
If we're measuring it by the percentage of geeky movies in their
Hmm.
catalog, I
Right.
don't think it's Spielberg. He has a lot,
Yeah, he does.
but not as much as John Carpenter
That's true.
or Lucas. So it's for
Well,
me, it's a
Lucas,
toss up
but
between those two.
Lucas has made so few movies relative to Spielberg. But yeah,
I know, yeah. So why
he
did
was
you think it was?
I
Why did you
because
think it
I
was Spielberg?
because I think that he's made. I mean, he shows his so much sci-fi geekness in both in the UFO stuff and the Close Encounters, and of course in
Right,
ET. Of course, the whole contribution with the Indiana Jones, which is drawn from the serials, we know is also Lucas's influence. And he's made like what a major science fiction movie every decade since 1970s or something like that.
right.
But I take your point. I mean, I guess in terms of again, it depends on how you're counting Carpenter's work. If all of his horror movies fit, then yeah, you're right. But he's made a number of science fiction movies as well. So I can take the point.
Yeah, I mean, I
I mean,
think
really, in terms of pure,
Spielberg's movies blaze brightly.
yeah,
So
they do.
Close Encounters, E.T., Raiders,
Hmm.
Jurassic Park.
Hmm.
I think the intensity of these
Hmm.
movies is something to consider in answering these questions,
And
but
the
not.
eclectic nature, I suppose. But
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
granted, if you're going to go pure, like almost all Lucas's movies are science fiction,
Right.
right? So in
Other
that
than
sense,
American Graffiti and
American
more American
Graffiti and
Graffiti. Yeah.
yeah, it's all and he birthed the entire subculture in
Right.
ways that neither of the other filmmakers did. So there's that. I mean, in some ways,
Yes.
he's geekier in that regard. And he also is geeky, certainly in terms of his technical interests. So but yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and
I
that
guess
is all.
here's a way to ask the
Yeah.
question: if we had to pick only one, if we were limited in the number of Ancient Geek episodes that we had,
Right.
there was a finite number. I guess there is technically, but a truly finite. Like you got 25,
Oh, that's a
and
great way of looking at it. Yes.
and I think we would have to talk about Lucas and Star Wars more than anything that Spielberg or Carpenter did.
There'd be a lot of Spielberg.
Yeah, but you can't skip Star Wars. If you had to,
No,
how
you
you gonna
can't
pick?
skip Star Wars.
I mean, if you had to pick
Yeah.
one, maybe that's the thing.
If you had to
limit
pick
number of
one, it would be
slots,
Lucas. Yes.
that's all I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, if we could pick multiple, we could also do an episode on Spielberg no matter what. But I mean, if you had
Right.
to only pick one, like you had the slots where you pick, that's I think you'd have to pick Lucas and Star Wars
Yes.
in that sense. But anyway,
All right. So wrapping up Dark Star, I know
yes,
you didn't have any merch from
no, I
this
did not.
movie.
I did not.
I certainly did. So there were two things that stand out. One was the
Okay,
gun,
okay.
the laser gun. I know
The rifle?
the rifle.
Yeah, yeah.
I know that I had that at some point. If I could be misremembering,
Right, right, right.
but that looks awfully familiar.
It
And
looks
I
like
think
something else. I don't know what it is.
it looks like something else that had parts added to it.
Right. Yes, yes,
But
yes.
it looks awfully familiar, and it's driving me nuts where it came from. And it might have been just something like people came into the store in my youth in costume, and maybe one
Hmm.
of them had it. But
Right.
man, that thing looks familiar. I definitely had the space helmet,
Okay.
which I guess was a problem when they were filming that the helmets were really small because they were
Yes.
made for children. But I definitely had that helmet. Any merch you wish you had.
I'll take that Falling in Love comic book that they show on the screen.
Yeah, there you go. Again, I kind of as a cop out, will say frequently that there are things I want on my cell phone as
Right.
ringtones or whatever. But if you could get like the voice of Siri on my
Right.
iPhone to be the computer voice, because again, it would be helpful to have a little more encouragement. Like, good for you, you've decided to clean out the rain gutters. Eh, That would be helpful.
I still want
That would
an
make
AI
a difference in my life.
this sounds like Zen. That's what I want.
There you go.
Information.
Information.
The gutters must be cleaned.
All right. Well, that wraps up our series on the early works of three geeky directors. Thanks, y'all, for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Y'all take care.
Steven is telling me it's time to feed the aliens, so we'd best be off. Thanks again for listening. If you like what you hear, please like and subscribe on the podcast app of your choice. You can also send us feedback at someancientgeeks@gmail.com. And if you can't get enough of the geekiness, come on over to our Substack, someancientgeeks@substack.com, where we post daily at least a joke, sometimes reviews, and other content. Speaking of content, all content is copyright 2026 Tom Grant and Stephen Taylor. Music by Reversed Image, whom you can find on Pixabay. See you next time.
Today, over lunch, I tried to improve morale and build a sense of camaraderie among the men by holding a humorous round-robin discussion of the early days of the mission. My overtures were brutally rejected.
Sorry.
These things happen.